All right, it's time for that moment when 5 weeks after the Nintendo Switch 2 initial announcement. Yeah, so there's not too much to go into here, but I am just in case making it so this episode can be up to like 46 minutes, because who knows? It feels like a lot of times when I'm recording these kinds of episodes, sometimes I just can keep talking and want to keep talking, so maybe I will. Anyway, it's been, yeah, I believe 5 weeks since the reveal. I think the whole thing was that it's 11 total weeks. Like, if we're saying that it was on a Thursday for the direct, right? That it's pretty much 11 weeks between this reveal and the direct. And so we're 6 weeks out from the direct, like 6 weeks away from the direct, and 5 weeks after the reveal. So we're pretty much at the halfway mark, or we're a little less than the halfway mark, which is cool. We're like almost there. We're almost at the halfway point. Um, so that is exciting. To a different end, I feel like I've rewatched this trailer, and it really is strange. Like it's one of those things where this time it was not that I was disappointed. I just more was kind of uh I had a very like nothing reaction to the reveal rewatching it again because I like rewatching it right before I record for this. Which again, on weeks that I will be able to do it, I feel like that is the most interesting thing to do. It's just be like, you know what? Let me rewatch the video. Like I know I've seen it like a billion times, but like I don't I don't normally like watch it more recently. Like all of the times that I've watched it or seen it were in the first like week. And now that it's been weeks, and again, time feels slow because of that when and stuff. And like the fact that like since again watching the reveals and stuff, I've watched like all these other directs and things. Like there's other things I've been reacting to. Um, rewatching. Uh, I was just like, I know I've talked about this and everyone talks about it. It feels so Apple corporate, and a lot of it to me is not just because again, they had this 3D model style trailer thing in the Switch 1 January presentation, right? Where it kind of just showed the thing moving around in like a 3D space and whatever, and they're like playing Breath of the Wild, which obviously again, and Mario Kart. Actually, I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe I think it's also showed in like the different like tabletop mode and the you have the two Joy-Con that for two player, right? That's all through Mario Kart, which is really funny because again, at least from what I recall in that January presentation, it was not Mario Kart wasn't really shown much at all, other than in that like tech demo-y style bit. And again, that is kind of during an instructional segment, but having it here with this corporate type music, like this is very like Apple type music. I don't know, like it doesn't feel like a Nintendo kind of song. I know that's weird, but like even that like Switch One trailer of the "Be Yourself" or whatever, which I like that song. Uh, I don't know, that was cool. I have nostalgia probably, but I don't really care. Um, ha 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 ha, yeah. Um, my brain's stuck on it. Anyway, this felt very different than that era, not the same thing at all. Um, so it feels more, again, they're going for sleek modern, they're going for kind of confidence, and it's very, again, this is confident because they're showing very little and being like, we have so much. Look at the magnets. Look at the magnets. Like I don't know. It's very funny to me. Like I'm less like they didn't show anything. Why did they only show one game? Like I that was where I was at, I think, last week, and this week I'm like, okay. I mean, you know, it's there. I'm not that upset anymore. I think maybe that'll change. Like maybe I'll be flip flopping, or oscillating between being so upset with that reveal trailer and being like okay with it. I think, to be fair, again, the longer we wait, both no, it's both that like I think the longer the wait is for the direct, the more disappointing it kind of is. So therefore, I feel like the closer we get to the direct, the more functional it'll be. But maybe also or not be, it'll feel like it feels dysfunctional when there's no other info because it's just like this is all we got and we're waiting and we're waiting. Like I can definitely see being back in that kind of headspace, but I'm also I don't know. I don't mind the wait as much in this present moment. And maybe that's just because I just got to have like my 400th That Moment When episode and I have all these other things going on. And so, again, the Nintendo Switch 2 hype cycle, which has been such a big part of my life recently, maybe doesn't feel as significant and therefore I'm able to pull back a little from it. But maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I'm you know misunderstanding my own brain in that regard. Because honestly, I don't quite know. I don't quite know. Um. Anyway, I do think that one of the big things with this again is just that it indicates to me that, like I said, they are very confident, but even more so, they don't feel like they need to show a ton, which does make me wonder about the Switch 2 Direct. But I also wonder if, again, it's more that because of how they knew leakers and stuff were going to be, that they just didn't, and because of like the whole actors thing with the original trailer or like Switch 1 kind of like teaser, that they just didn't want to go through that again. Um, and I think that's very feasible that they just are saving a lot for this direct. Again, they need to save enough. Like they know they need to show enough, but like because the people aren't just going to swap over. They know how big. Like they know they can't pull a Wii U. I think they as much as again we have a new president of Nintendo and stuff. I don't think they're dumb enough to not to be like okay, we've had this situation before. Except not even really, because this is a thing that I mean, a lot of people have discussed, but also I feel like at the same time has not been really fully acknowledged. The Wii was not good for Nintendo in a lot of ways. Like it was a very big explosion on initial sales, but the whole thing was that the Wii didn't maintain sales over the course of its life, and the Switch has maintained sales much more consistently. Like, the Switch is a console that will keep selling. The Wii was not a console that was going to keep selling towards the end of its life or into the Wii U's life very much. Like, it had a pretty significant drop off. And even more so, the people who had Wii's were only usually playing like pack-in stuff like Wii Sports and then maybe Mario Kart and maybe like which again also could be pack-in games. Like you weren't you weren't buying that many games versus on Switch it's like a bigger percentage of the user base is owning more games, I guess if that makes sense. And maybe that's partially COVID related or whatever, but it doesn't seem like it, or at the very least, it seems like it's more than just that. And so my thought personally is just that like we were at a point that like even then they have to know that there's even more pressure. They should know that there's even more pressure for them to try to, and obviously for investors and things, but like if you're going to bother to make a new console that is the first time you're making a direct iterative console by name. Again, Wii U is not really the Wii sequel. I mean, kind of is, but it's not a Wii sequel because it's not the Wii 2. This is the Switch 2. This is a direct upgrade with no significant, like, the whole point of the Switch is you switch between, like, the gimmick of the Wii is on the Wii U, but the Wii U introduces a massive new gimmick. Mouse mode is the biggest quote unquote new gimmick that the Switch 2 can have, and even that is not even remotely as significant. Like I think that having like I guess the point is the this is more of a direct sequel. Like there's less kind of hardware upgrade and there's less like I guess it is sleek shiny, but like that's kind of all they have. And to that extent, it's like or to that end, I feel like they just really have to convince on the games. Not that they don't already have to do that. Nintendo's entire point is first party games. They don't run games well. Like, again, it's not anything to do with that or even sometimes hardware. It is, I want to play Mario. I want to play Mario Kart. I want to play uh, Wii Sports, Switch Sports, because Switch Sports just keeps selling, which is hilarious. Again, I like that game. I'm fine with the sports mates. It definitely has issues, but like I like playing bowling with my sports mate. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy it, and elimination bowling online is fun, or at least was when I was playing it. I don't know how it is now. Uh, I don't know if the lobbies are bad now, but it was good when I was playing it. I was really enjoying it, and even just that's a fun friends party game. Anyway, but like people play and buy Nintendo stuff for those experiences for the most part. Obviously, there are core fans, but in terms of like broad appeal, it is mostly those kinds of games. Breath of the Wild is maybe the only one that like kind of teetered on the gap, and I guess there's also like Animal Crossing, but like actually that's not really an I guess like the Animal Crossing is fair. But yeah, I don't know. I have just the feeling that they do have to do enough. And again, this doesn't really again, we're not really talking about the direct, but I guess it more has to do with the fact that this reveal indicates to me that there are two primary possible outcomes that have a lot of overlap. Or at the very least, like there's a very like kind of a degree, a range, like a spectrum between the two of this is showing that they aren't trying very much because they aren't showing very much and they're being overconfident, and therefore the switch to direct will not have much at all, versus this is them not showing much because they literally couldn't, because they were having internal stuff going on or whatever, and this is them saving everything for a massive reveal. Now, obviously, it's going to be between those two things, but I feel like those are the lines, kind of the logical thought, right, behind all that. So, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not going to be like that, but I feel like that's how it's going to go. And yeah, I don't know. That's my thought process. But yeah, going back to it, 5 weeks later, how are we feeling? How are we feeling about the Nintendo Switch 2? And me personally, I'm feeling very decent. Um, it's not that I don't care. It's not that, whatever. I think the hardware is more interesting and there are a lot of, opportunities for it to be interesting, but I also at the same time, while I was watching it, was kind of spaced out because I was just like, uh-huh. Like, all right, Mario Kart looks cool. The music is really is that like corporate sounding. Like it just reminds me of old Apple. I don't know. Or even new Apple. Um so yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Anyway, that moment when yeah, this might be my last episode for a while. We'll see.